Good morning and welcome to the Financial Pillars All About the Money podcast presented by our Neutral Voices Media. Our show is all about helping our audience understand money, mindset, and tap into the economic knowledge that builds financially secure individuals, families, and communities. So whether you're tuning into our show to learn about budgeting, building credit, investing, or starting your own business, we're here to break down the knowledge in a real and relatable way. Before we get started this morning with our topic and some intros, T, you want to take us in with a prayer?
Absolutely. Let's bow our head and close our eyes. Father God, thank you so much for bringing us here in the beginning of March. I'm glad to be reunited with my buddies here again, that we're able to share our knowledge of financial literacy to be able to help our community and provide answers and knowledge to the people listening. I thank you so much for allowing all of us to make it here to our destination today safely. And I pray that you guide us on our way as we leave this place to head to our other destinations. In your name I pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you. So I'm Ryan Leopard, private banker with Star Financial Bank.
I'm JJ Foster, Lake City Bank.
And I am Terrence. I am a personal banker at Star Financial Bank as well.
Just Terrence, no last name on today, huh?
And before we get started, I'm going to say, hey, you did a great job. That tell boy, this big time up in here. That's all right. I feel like I'm at Channel
Point out the
21.
prompter, I looked at the
Yeah, I saw that. That's beautiful. We stepping up, man.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, today's topic, I want to kind of bring some awareness. I would love to say that this is something new, but it always seems like there's spikes in this. But financial frauds and financial scams. Fortunately, that's a part of our business, being in the banking. And
Yes.
JJ, I don't know how often you see it in your world, but retail banking, private banking, things like that. Unfortunately, we see this on a daily basis. So, bringing some awareness around this, talking about some different types of scams, things like that for people to be aware about, and kind of how we can help protect ourselves for that. So, Terrence, being in the retail world, how often are you running into financial scams, people falling for these things?
Daily basis. Yes. 100% daily basis. As we were discussing before, the number one instance that I typically run into is the imposter scam. That is, of course, when you have that instance where someone is impersonating a trusted individual, whether it be someone from your workplace, someone from a hospital, medical facility, a banking facility, somebody that works on your car, or somebody that you would just deal with in terms of dealing with your sensitive information, of course. That imposter scam, the biggest one that I would say that I have heard is usually in terms of somebody's car. Like usually, if you go out and purchase a car, sometimes you might get a letter in the mail about your car's warranty and how you need to activate it. And typically you'll call them and the person will sound like they know exactly what they're talking about. They'll sound like they're a legitimate organization. They will give you the entire rundown, makes you think that they're a legitimate business to gain your trust. That is the entire purpose of them doing that. Of course, once they gain your trust, then they start to talk about payment. And then once you give them that payment, then they'll tell you, oh yeah, we'll activate your car's warranty. You don't need to activate a car's warranty. You either get the warranty or you don't get the warranty. There's no such thing as you needing to activate it after you've already purchased the vehicle. So that is one thing that they like to do. They like to try to gain your trust, even by making themselves sound like legitimate, even though they are illegitimate. And one thing in terms of dealing with scams, especially if they are talking to you over the phone, one thing that I like to tell all my clients is make sure you mention to the person that you're talking to that you're going to run this by your bank first. The reaction that you receive from the other individual is a clear indication on if it's a scam or not, because half of the time they're going to tell you not to reach out to your bank. They're going to tell you not to contact them. They're going to tell you that it's not necessary. That's the whole point, because if you call your bank and you run everything that's happening by them, most likely 100% of the time somebody's going to tell you that somebody's trying to scam you. So they want to get you on the phone. They want to keep your attention. They want to get this transaction as quickly as possible, pretending to be somebody that they're not, because once they get the payment, then their job is done. But when you start to add in those extra blockades and extra obstacles that they have to go over, that's where things start to get a little finicky for them.
Yeah. And we talk about some different types of imposter, or what we call social engineering scams. You'll see some kind of themes involved on how the fraudsters out there act and keep you on the phone, and urgency and things like that they kind of instill on there. So talk about imposter or what we call social engineering. So I think there's a few categories I'd like to bring some light to. That's kind of like imposters selling something, right?
Right.
I know we run into this all the time being bank employees, is bank imposter scams, right? Somebody calls pretending to be from the fraud department. They might be a real person there, right? You can find out all this information online and through LinkedIn and things like that. Who is who? The number comes from a trusted phone number, right? It could be the bank's phone number, because caller IDs numbers can be spoofed nowadays, right? Mm-hmm. So you get somebody that you think, it's a real person at the bank, and, they're a trusted individual, and now they're asking you for some weird information, right? What would be something in that situation, something to be aware of, like something that would alert you the fact that this may not be a real call?
I would say, it depends what type of information that they ask from you. There are specific bank details about a client's information that we will never ask. Because, of course, one, if we're dealing with you as a client, as a financial institution, we already have all your information pulled up. We don't need you to go in and verify. Like, we don't need to ask you for your full account number. We already know what that is. We don't need to ask other sensitive information because we already have it pulled up. So if it gets to the point where we're asking you to verify sensitive information that you know for a fact you shouldn't have to, that is one of the clear indicators. And another thing is, if you're on the phone with them and you aren't sure, it's always safe to hang up and actually call somebody.
He said an email, though. He said an email, right?
What's that?
You said it was an email somebody
No, call.
sent?
Call.
Okay, call.
Yeah, that's a big one nowadays, is that they're calling pretending to be from the fraud department of your bank. Hey, you had some unauthorized transactions on your account. We need you to verify whether this was you or not. And then they start asking you personal information. What they're trying to do is gain personal information to access your account.
Yes, and half of the time, I will say clients do come in and say that they have received a call that was similar to that, and they said they didn't trust it, so they just stopped into the bank
Which is
themselves,
awesome.
which is great. Yes.
One thing I want to stop you real quick on is to kind of clarify is if you call into the bank, they're still going to try and ask you some information to identify.
Yes,
so just asking you
100%.
some identifying information isn't unusual, right? They want to know who they're talking to, and you got to be comfortable with who you're talking to. But one of the big things that they'll do is ask you for like a full social security number. Typically nowadays, banks have other information that they're going to ask rather than that.
Right.
That's specific to the bank that may not be compromising to something else.
But here's something that's key. You just said if you call into the bank, they're going to ask you verifying information. If I call you, I've got stuff pulled up, retail, and I
Exactly.
have the
Good
answers to
catch
that.
there. You got me on that one.
So that's,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. So
Right. We have your stuff pulled
Correct.
up, so why would I need you to give me your full social security
Understand
number?
the difference.
Yeah.
And then also, in the terms of protecting your information, we shouldn't be asking for full social security numbers over the phone anyway, of course. So again, like asking those questions that we know for a fact that the client themselves would know personally and that somebody else wouldn't know, like, verifying certain transactions or verifying where your direct deposit comes from or asking what mother's maiden names are, just simple questions like that, things that you wouldn't be asked out of the ordinary, of course.
Yeah, and I'll say this, and we've talked about it before on this show. Information that or things that banks put into place for your protection. So if they're asking questions, some people get perturbed, but no, understand this is for your safety. And on the same token, banks have to understand if I call somebody and it's legit and say, "Hey, let me call you back," whatever representative is working with that client should understand that as well.
So that's one of the things I tell my clients all the time is that they are going to understand that. So if you do receive a legitimate call from our fraud department or somebody internally want to ask you this stuff, if you say, "Hey, I don't kind of feel comfortable with this call, let me call you back. I'll look your number up, or let me call my banker or somebody internally." One of the important reasons to have a relationship with the bank, right?
100%.
They're 100% all the time going to understand and let you off that phone. What a fraudster is going to do is try and keep you on that phone and make up some reason or excuse why you should not hang up that phone, right? Internally. Going back to the call, one of the biggest things that always gets me too is the multi-factor authentication code, or the two-step authentication code, where, hey, you're going to go in, you try to log into your account. They need you to verify a code. They're going to send you a code. Typically nowadays, I know at least with us, is it will only come in text form. We're not sending it to emails because emails get hacked all the time, right? So we will only send it to a text message form. But when you get that code, the purpose and the security behind that is for you to enter that code in yourself into the system, not for you to provide that verbally over the phone to somebody else. So always be suspicious. If somebody's calling you and saying, "Hey, you have some fraud on your account, I need to access your account, or I need you to verify this code so I know it's you," that's a huge sign right there. No one's ever going to do that for it.
That's funny you say that. I overheard a call the other day. Somebody called into the bank, and they wanted the branch manager to help them with their password. They forgot their password, and so she was telling them about what all they had to do, and the lady said, "Well, you just can't tell me what my password is."
That's the security
We
behind
have
password.
no idea what your
Yeah.
that's a
So,
great one.
Depending on the banking institution and what access they have, they might know what your user ID is. The user ID is just something that's identifying you going in, but it's not the protection. The protection is the password on there, and then the two-step authentication after that. So you should be the only one that knows your password, right? That's if a bank employee said, "Here's your password," you should probably be a little suspicious.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Of that. Going back to another thing that you mentioned was people reluctant to give information when the bank is trying to identify them. One thing that always got me is in-person transactions. You probably get this, Terrence. People coming to the bank and, "Hey, can I see your ID?" Right? You're laughing, right? Why are you laughing?
Oh my goodness. It is I think it just blows my mind a little bit. One, in the process of opening up your account, we take so much personal information from you. That means you're giving us your ID, you're giving us another form of ID, you're giving us your address, phone number, email address, social security number, date of birth, all the information that you would never want to give somebody. You coming into a complete stranger that you've never worked with before, and me kindly asking for your driver's license is me not trying to get your personal information. I already have it. Mm-hmm. I am just trying to verify that you are the person that you say you are, because at the end of the day, if you come in and say, "Oh, my name's John Smith." Okay, great. I look up John Smith. There's like 30,000 John Smiths in this one city. If I pull $500 out of a John Smith's account that's not yours, that other John Smith is going to be extremely upset. Mm-hmm. And then 2, you're going to be upset because now I'm going to look like I'm incompetent and I don't know how to do my job.
Yeah, I'm on the opposite route. If I come into my bank and I'm dealing with somebody that I might have dealt with once or maybe twice or maybe never at all, and you just say, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" and don't call me by my name or anything else, and you just, "What do you need?" and, "Oh, here's your money," and you don't ask me any identifying information or want to see my ID, I'm probably gonna be mad about that.
Yeah,
right.
You got that
I'll
right.
secure my accounts there, but I always got that being in the retail branch. It just never made sense to me when people came in would be upset for somebody asking for their ID when asking for money or information for their account.
Yeah, it's like I truly have no other intention than just making sure that I'm doing my job correctly. I don't want to get fired. It's that simple. I don't want to get fired. This is part of our policy. I'm doing it to protect you. That is literally all it is. And I feel like once you're able to explain that to somebody, that I'm doing this for your benefit, not mine. If I could just have people come in and just give them money and call it a day, that would be so much faster and so much easier. But that's not the case.
That's funny. I was downtown the other day at not one of our branches, but I have some funds at another branch. And I walked in, literally spoke to the lady sitting at the desk in the front who knows me, spoke to the branch manager who was right next to the teller. And they said, "Can I get your ID?" I didn't bat an eye. I gave my ID, but I thought to myself, that is funny, but yes.
Even if they know you, if they're asking for my ID, then I'm going to assume that they're asking for it because they need it.
Yes.
Right? If there's security precautions within the bank, or they need my ID because I have to enter in my driver's license to access my account, or just because it's on camera so that their auditors know that they verified me, whatever it is, if I'm in the bank and they ask me for my ID, I'm going to assume that it's because they need it. So here you go. And thank you for protecting my accounts.
And just on that too, when you walk into a bank and we're talking about phone calls of scammers, a lot of these folks, like we said, they don't want to have you get off their phone. You'll have people walking in the phone. I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but people that are talking to somebody and they're literally telling them what to do and what to say. And we talk about relationships all the time. So if you had a relationship with your customer, you kind of know that something's off. And I've had a couple of friends who've had relatives, because a lot of times everything that we're talking, people prey on seniors. And seniors, you're telling them and they already think, "I can't keep up with technology, and this is what this person is telling me. It's got to be right." But again, when you walk in that branch and we see, okay, well, how come you still talking to the phone? That's kind of a red flag or a telltale to that teller that,
So I'm good. I will sit there and stare at you until you get off the phone.
Yeah, so that's a great point, because we, as bankers, banking employees, we're trained to look for certain signs of things similar to that, right? So another thing is, if your banker's sitting there and asking you some questions about why you're doing a transaction or who you may be talking to or something like that, don't take offense to that.
Yeah.
Their job is there to help try and protect you. I know we were talking offset about, another type of these social engineering scams, like the lover scams, right? Which is, you have at least my experience with it is something you got into a relationship online.
Always with somebody out of state. Always out of state.
Out of the country. Something like that. This is the person that, you may have known for a month, 2 weeks, 3 months, whatever the time is. But they've gained your trust. And now they're to the point where the scams come into play and they're asking you for money. So you're coming in trying to wire this person money. Well, we as bankers kind of are, and that's one of our jobs and duties, is to kind of inquire into why we're sending money, especially in forms like wires, where we can't get that back. Once you wire the money, it's gone, right? So you wired somebody that you think you know, the next thing they know, they're not returning your phone calls or text message or communicating with you anymore on Facebook, and all of a sudden that money's gone, you're mad at us.
Yeah, and,
right?
and that's one thing that I like to explain to our clients is you have to think about how much sense it makes to you. Okay, so when you met this person online, you've been talking to them for 3 weeks. You've never met them in person. You've never interacted with them outside of online communication. You have a best friend that you've known for like 20 plus years. They don't even know where you bank, but you're willing to send this person money that you've only known for 3 weeks. Why? How does that make sense?
You ever get the response of when they're telling you the story and they're like, but I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. I know what it is, but I trust this person, da 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 da. And yeah.
And
You see
and
that
of
all the
course
time.
with
they,
us
they
being
know deep down they know, but they're preying on their emotions. Right?
yes, and it does hurt me sometimes because of course they come in with good intentions, wanting to do this, thinking that it's for something positive, and I have to break their heart by letting them know like this is a scam, and I'm sorry, I cannot move forward with helping you with this because I know for a fact that it's not going to benefit you in any way. I've had that happen several times where it got to a point where I had a person on the account and they had their daughter on as a joint signer, and I had to call their daughter while they were standing in the branch because I refused to help them because I knew what was going on. And so like she comes down to the bank and of course she's like trying to talk to her dad, trying to calm him down this. And he's more mad at me because I called his daughter. I'm like, but at the same time, I'm like, this is your money. You have bills to pay at the end of the month. If you can't pay your bills, there's no coming back to the bank asking us to like give you a loan because you've already squandered all of your funds. We know that you're a vulnerable adult. We've filed FIVAs because you're a vulnerable adult and somebody's trying to take advantage of you. We're doing that to protect you. And I know you may not like the outcome of it, but I want to stress this 100% is that we are doing this for your best interest, and that is the only thing.
And you're kind of touching on it, but I'd have to ask, how do you guys handle situations? Because we're talking about adults. And as crazy a story as it sounds, if somebody, hey, this is my money, I can do what I want with it. Just do my transaction. How do you guys handle that?
Yeah, and I don't know from Terrence's experiences, but my experiences with a larger bank is I don't know that we could actually tell them we wouldn't send them money.
Yeah.
All we can do is raise awareness to them. If they still want to choose to send that money, that's on them. My standpoint is like, I understand, I don't believe this is real, whatever. If you want to send the money, great. However, just understand once this money leaves here, we have no recourse to be able to get that money back from you if you find out that this was a fraud or a scam. And then from there, it's really on our fraud and wire department. So if we're wiring funds overseas to somebody and they still want to do it, our fraud department can always still hold up and freeze that wire and choose not to send it on the back end. And then it's kind of out of our hands, right? We didn't make that decision. We processed the wire for you. They chose not to send it based upon whether it's information that we gathered or information that they gather on their side, whatever it may be.
Yes, and to answer your question, of course, if it is something that I can gain enough information and I can take it to somebody else and we can deduce what's actually going on, I'm 100% moving forward with it. But if you're not willing to give me enough information, or if I've seen this activity, or if I've noticed that this activity is not your usual activity, and if I notice that you're acting different, for me, it comes down to morals and ethics. If I know for a fact that I don't feel right doing it, or it gives me a sour feel in my stomach, that is something that I'm going to escalate and pretty much pass off to somebody else. It's almost like you coming in saying that you need to withdraw like $30,000 because you're doing something with it, but you're not willing to give me that information. Of course, I want to give you your money. It is your money. I can't tell you that you're not allowed to use it. But at the end of the day, if I know that I've played a part in pretty much helping you ruin yourself financially, that's going to sit with me for a while.
Yeah. And even if it's a legitimate transaction and we're wrong in that case, don't be upset with the banker for inquiring and trying to raise awareness, because ultimately he is looking out for your best interest. So if it would have happened to have been a fraud scam, right, he was looking out for you.
Just like you were saying, there was an instance I had a woman that she thought she was closing on a house and she wired out pretty much her entire savings. She wired out about 30 grand. Never got the house and never was able to get her money back. And it was like one of those instances where I was slightly happy that I wasn't the one that submitted it. But at the same time, I'm like, that's just 30 grand that you just lost. Like, that hurts me. Like, I see that. Like, how long did it take for you to save that? How long did you have to work to get that just to watch it just disappear in a matter of minutes?
I had one of the ones that sticks in my memory was an elderly gentleman who came in to wire the funds. And in this case, we were able to bring awareness and make him realize that this was a fraud scam doing. So luckily we saved the money. Unfortunately, the only way he had the money was because he had already gone out and sold all of his furniture to come up with the money to wire out. So we stopped it, saved the money, but he had sold everything that he had in his house to get the money. I don't remember the exact reason. I think it was because he thought his daughter was in jail overseas or something like that. Somebody had contacted him. But a couple other social engineering scams I want to touch on. This is a one that was a very intricate scam that kind of baffled me that I ran into with a client here recently. A government agency, IRS, police. So there's different ones like, hey, you got back taxes. You need to pay us now. This one was, they called her at her work, right? She worked at a bar. She was called her at her work, which was an unusual place. When I asked her, like, did you ever have any phone calls to your cell phone that you did not know or didn't answer? She said, no, not at all. So I figured they would start with your cell phone number. If they don't get you, maybe move on. Called her at her work, basically told her she had a warrant out for arrest because she didn't show up for jury
It's a
duty.
big one. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they kept her on the phone, told her that, they needed her to go get the money now and to pay them, or else that somebody was going to come to her job and arrest her and da-da-da. They wanted her to stay on the phone through the entire car ride because if she got pulled over by another police officer.
But I was
didn't
going
want
to
her
say, you
act on
said they
that
caught her
warrant.
at work. And I was going to say, how does that going to work? You said called at work, because I know they call cell phones. They actually was called the same deal, but you said they called at work.
They called her at work and said, is this so-and-so? And she said, yes.
But then, so how you to get in the car and to stay on? That's what I'm saying. That's where they would be lost. You'd have to hang up.
Great point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I don't know the transition in that
Okay.
one.
I actually
Now, you know what?
I actually had that happen. It was I had a couple that same thing. They said a so-called sheriff called them. They said they asked for badge number. They asked for like where your location, address, numbers to call people back, first names, last name. They provided all the information. But the thing that stuck out was they was like, oh, well, you have to Zelle us the money. I was like, no, they would never accept to pay
Yeah.
So,
via Zelle.
so
I'm
that's
like,
the thing we're going to talk about is kind of different ways that they ask for the money in untraditional type ways. And the ways are because they can't be traced. So in this situation, I don't know the answer to that question. It's a great point. I didn't think about it at that time is how did you transition that call? But she was in the car. They knew the make of her car. They knew her license plate number, right? And they were telling her all this stuff while she's driving. And they were sending her to go buy a gift card.
Oh, not a gift card.
A gift card. So she had to go to the ATM, withdraw money, go buy a gift card, give them the gift card of the phone, and obviously that's the money. Because now to the bank, there's no recourse for that. Because to us, you took $1,000 out of an ATM transaction. That's it. There's no fraudulent. You didn't use a debit card or anything like that. Once you put it on that gift card and give them that number, that's non-traceable.
Yeah.
Right. You can't really do anything about it. But just the amount of detail that went into this scam, right? And when when she's telling me the story, she's just beating herself up because there were so many signs. But the thing that they did was they preyed on the fact of urgency, emotion, and
Fear.
fear
Going to
of
jail.
getting arrested.
Fear.
Going to jail.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that I'm afraid of going to jail for missing jury duty, right? That's a free,
That is crazy, though. I ain't gonna
right?
lie.
But they did.
Because I can tell you that very story, they called me. That's why I said they called me. I was at work. They called my cell phone and I answered and they said, yeah, you missed jury. I said, jury duty? I've never had to go to jury duty. I used to work for Island Superior Court. So I'm like, okay, maybe there is something to that because I don't work for Island Superior Court now. They may have called me. So I know addresses. I know room numbers. I'm looking at the number. It was a county number. I'm like, everything, all boxes are checked. And I'm like, so you telling me I'm going to go to jail? Yeah, we need you to come down here right now or pay X amount of dollars. I was like, so I'm going to go to jail if I don't pay you today. I said, let me call you guys back. If you hang up this phone, I'm giving you a break. I said, I'm giving you a break. If you hang up this phone, you're not getting a break. I'm sending officers to your job.
Come
now,
get me.
again, this is
Yeah,
somebody,
come get me.
yeah,
Dude,
this
come
is
get me.
somebody coming from the system.
dude.
They hit everything. So I was like, and I'm still, y'all know me, the skeptic. So I'm like, okay, I put it on speaker, and I'm in my office. I'm Googling stuff. I'm pulling up stuff with my computers, and stuff wasn't checking out. Now, again, I haven't been down there for a while, so I know things have changed. I'm throwing out names. They know names of people that work down there. So then when they said, well, yeah, you need to stop. It's got to be a gift card. Said it's got to be a gift card. So now it's, there's a program that we're in. It has to be. I'm like, man, that don't even sound right.
Nah.
And he's like, oh, no, it has to be. And you need to be down here by such and such a time. So as I'm thinking through this, I'm like, okay, so what were they planning to do? If I go down there, somebody go jump me when I get down in front of the building? Because I know there was nowhere for me to be. Were they going to tell me to drop it off somewhere? So it got to the point where but again, everything was convincing that I just said, I said, hey, you know what? Y'all need to go. Just come get me because this thing's checking up.
I'm take my chances.
I don't know how to look. Come get me. If it's legitimate,
I
somebody
gotta
gonna
call
be
my
knocking on my
attorney,
door.
whatever. I hung up, but left it alone, and then come to find out, later on that night at the news or whatnot, they were talking about it.
They had this on the news
Yeah,
topic?
yeah, they
Awesome.
did. Somebody had finally responded. It got to enough people.
I think that is hilarious. I mean, I've had calls like that before where I've actually told them, like, come get me then.
Yeah.
Hang up the phone. And I remember, I think it was like 3 days later, there was like 6 cop cars outside. And I was like, oh, crap. I was like,
Was it legit? Was it legit?
yeah, it was legit. Like, they wasn't looking for me.
Yeah.
But it's things like that. Like,
But it is scary, and the folks that, like you said, that don't know. I mean, there's some intimidating
This
stuff.
was a young 20-year-old, and now that I think about it, she said they called her work. Maybe they called her cell phone while she
Yeah,
maybe that's the part I had to assume she
because
called
that's the
but-
key. You can't get off. And I was looking around. I was like, what? So yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, when she's telling this story, I mean, she's just beating herself up. Like there was just so many signs. But when they're preying on this, and in the moment you're not expecting that call, it can be scary for
Yeah.
you. Charity scams. So we've seen these in the past there, where I'm with the sheriff's department, we're calling to raise money for X and X charity. Give us some money. Those type of things. And then technical support scams, where they're calling and telling you something's wrong with your computer. Let us access your computer. That type stuff. I've seen some intricate scams with those too, where at least the client told me that they called a trusted number on there, and then somehow they got rerouted to some place that was, I don't know. They let somebody in their computer. Next thing you know, money is out of their account. They're doing that because they're gaining access to your computer to get to user IDs, passwords, things like that you have saved in there, so they can access that stuff.
What was the movie? The Beehive? Jason Statham is one.
I don't know that movie.
They really, yeah, but it was just that they called a senior, and that's what they told her. It was tech support, and they were helping her with her computer, and they accessed and they drained all her accounts with one click of the button. It was
Phishing scam's another big one. Terrence, what's a phishing scam?
a phishing scam is typically sent via email. It is an email that is designed to look like it's from a trusted sender. Sometimes it can have attachments in it. It can have links, third-party link websites. It can even potentially look like it's coming from inside of your own workplace. I've seen phishing emails from IT departments, HR departments, payroll departments, even customers. All types of random information saying, hey, there was an issue with your payment. We need you to verify some information, and there'll be a blue link. The biggest thing that I always like to point out in terms of phishing emails, if you don't recognize it, first thing to do, look at who sent the email. And usually the email addresses are a bunch of scrambled letters and numbers, not from a trusted sender. A good way, I've had an instance where I had a client, he received an email, he was unsure if it was legitimate or not. I told him to look and see who the sender was, and he was like, this is just a bunch of letters and numbers.
And do that before what?
Before you click on any links, before you do anything, do not click on any email. I always urge clients, if you get a suspicious email that's asking for any type of account information, call me first. I will tell you if it's a legitimate email or not.
So with the phishing emails, to my knowledge, is if you opening the email itself is not the issue.
Right. It's clicking on the attachments and the links.
I'm not opening. It's not opening the email. It's clicking on the links. That's the problem. If they provide an attachment or a link or something like that saying we need you to click on this now, that's the issue. That's the fraud. When you do that, it's going to take you somewhere else. It's going to ask you to provide information, something like that, or download virus, something like that. And I don't know exactly. I'm not a techie guy to know all that, but it's the clicking on the link, provided link or attachments that's the issue, right?
correct.
With doing that, a lot of time with the bank ones, right? You get a email saying you've had some fraudulent transactions on your account. Click this link, and then when it does, ask you for social security number, all the stuff that you think. So one way to identify that is also looking at, because everything looks legit. The page looks legit. Everything is looking at the what is it, URL? Is that what you call the search little thing?
Yeah, you can like hover over the hyperlink and then it'll like populate what it actually is. And then if you have like some advanced device where you can like hold down on it without actually opening it and it like gives you a preview of what the actual window is, I think that's a great feature to use. But always taking a peek at that URL.
Taking a peek at that, and it might look similar to what, let's use Amazon.com. Well, Amazon.com is unique. Nothing else can be that, but it can be like accounts.amazon.com, right? Just adding something a little bit different to make it a unique one is where the scam comes in. That's what you need to
Yep, and that
look
is
for.
actually called URL spoofing.
URL spoofing, is that what it
Yes,
is?
URL spoofing. It's when you take a name that looks like it's supposed to be, and then you add like the smallest minor detail to it that someone typically won't catch on, like the Amazon changing the O to a 0. Something as simple as that, just to make it look like it's a familiar website, just to get somebody to click on it.
Yep. 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 So ways that we can protect ourselves, right? So
But I want to go before we get out fishing. We spent I don't know 30 minutes on imposters and
we
calls.
only got a couple minutes left.
Okay, I was gonna say, but it's the same thing in emails. Understand that people come in, they get real creative. I can get an email from Ryan Leopard, and it's not you, and they can get real intricate. And you thinking I'm communicating with you, but you have to be vigilant of that. And there's emails I mean that could come from your CEO. They come from organizations that you work with. So
Yep.
I don't know if you've experienced those yet with us,
Yep.
Terrence.
And in terms of that, when you get those emails that look like they're fraud or suspect, notice the font and notice the grammar, English, and punctuation. Typically, fraudsters are terrible at English. They will misspell words. They will put words in the wrong order.
Well, I do that too. I'm not a fraudster, but
the other thing in your tagline, the external versus internal.
Right.
You know, I get something from tech or email, but it's external. It's like, nah, that's, red flag.
we have, sorry.
Go ahead.
Cut you off. I mean, we have those security precautions at work too, where they try and catch us and test us. And like I get something from my manager, right? It'll say my manager's name on there, and it'll be something weird every single time. Something weird. You won tickets to the Comets game or something like that. I was like, my manager's in Indianapolis. Why would I win tickets to the Comets? What? So I know that right away. But if you look at it, same thing with like the actual email address is not, or the email is coming from is not his. It just says his name next to it.
When I was at the housing authority, I got an email from our CEO. Had a CEO. It said, hey, Jay, hey, I'm out of town. I need you to give me your credit card number. 'Cause I got to pick up some stuff. Yeah, I left mine at home. And I mean, and this is, our relationship. We were cool.
You make more
And
money than me.
Your CEO would ask you for your credit card number.
Our credit, each department I have. That's so again, my department credit card. So everything was like okay, but then in the end, it was just like the way he was very. I think he might have said, "Hey, John, this, that, the other." Yeah, John said him like, man, I'm like, I called him. I said, hey, man, where you at? He was like, headed to the office. I said, I just got an email from you. And he was like, what? So wasn't him. But it's funny, they had some other people and they got him. But pay attention. And, I know relationships. Again, if I get something from one of you guys and they start talking about John this and, hey, how are and it gets real for him, I'm going to know. That's a red flag to me.
So to what your point was, you're alert to something that was unusual. And what did you do?
I
picked up the phone and called him, right?
Verify, yes.
So, and I was going to go back to that with the phishing emails, the things that look from the bank. It always got me. We're like, well, if the email's telling you had some fraudulent transaction, you've been locked out of your account, we need you to click on this link to do that. Well, just go to the internet and go, or your app, and go to the actual website. If you can log in, it's not locked out. Clearly, it's a fraud and a scam, right? It's not accurate. Yeah. But most people don't do that. They just click on the link and go right to that. And fall for the scam there.
I call them and ask. I'm like, why is my account locked? I said, I ain't been on it all day. Why is it locked? Well, it's not showing locked on our end. Okay, that's all I needed to know.
Yeah. And back to that sense of urgency that they use, phishing scams that are big around the time when you have to do your insurance. They're saying that same. We need you to change or give us your insurance, which route you want to go, and you need to do it ASAP. Now, mind you, we know there's a deadline for that, and that falls right into you click on that link, and you're gonna be a goner.
I have to go pay my auto insurance today. Thank you.
I'm still waiting for them to pull it out of my account, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, but real quick, in the interest of time, I just want to go through, just kind of make the audience aware of some ways that we can protect ourselves. So, one, we talked about never pay an unknown or untrusted person with a gift card, money orders, wire transfers, cryptocurrency, things like that. Those are all untraceable forms. Once it's gone, there's no recourse to get those things back. Verify identity. If you're not positive or somebody's pretending to be your boss on the email, call your boss and ask him, is this you? Did you do this? Be suspicious of urgency, right? If somebody's telling you can't get off the phone, well, ding, 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 red flag right there. There's no reason you can't get off the phone. Or as I mentioned earlier, if it truly is somebody from the bank, they're going to understand and appreciate that you're being cautious, with this. Do not share personal information. And then also do not share your 2-step multi-factor authentication codes. Once again, if somebody's asking you, or you receive, I don't know if you have ever done this, but just received randomly a 2-factor authentication code text message, and you didn't do anything to log in and ask for it. I'm like, what is this? Now, when I've done that, I come to find out it's my kids trying to log in to buy something or something like that.
That's what it's there for, though.
One
Yeah.
of their games or something like that. But that's the purpose of it. So if you receive one of those codes and you did not request it, start being suspicious. If somebody calls you and says they need that code, suspicious, right? And then just a couple reminders. Do not click personal or click provided links, especially through unsolicited emails or text messages. Reminders, phone numbers can be spoofed on caller ID, so receiving calls from known or unknown numbers or known numbers doesn't always mean you know who they are. Be suspicious and alert whenever answering calls from numbers you are not familiar with. So get your antennas up if you're one of those people. I don't answer calls of numbers I don't know about, right? If I don't know the number, I'm not answering it.
And here's the deal: call back one of those numbers and see what you get, and you'll find out, like you said, spoofed. There's nothing there. So,
yeah. If you do not initiate a login attempt or call us, you will never receive a multi-factor authentication code. Just mentioned that. Trust your instincts, right? Your instincts are, why would my CEO be calling me John, right? Trust your instincts. Make a call, figure out who it is. If you suspect you may have fallen victim to a scam or fraud, notify your financial institution immediately, right? If you do happen to, don't have too much pride, think I don't want to embarrass myself. Let's just hope for the best and nothing comes from this. No, notify your financial institution, call your banker, whoever, right away, and let's talk on what we can do to protect you going forward with this, right? Do we need to shut down accounts? Do we need to change user ID password? What's the best way to proceed? And then always, when in doubt, call or email your banker, right? That's what I tell my customers. If you're getting a call from somebody, it doesn't matter if it's pretending to be from the bank or if it's pretending to be, from your job or anything like that. Call me and run by the scenario. I'm very alert to a lot of these things. They're preying on your emotions, not mine. So if something seems a little odd, send me a call and say, what do you think? I get that all the time. Yeah.
And on the same token, it's funny. You said somebody in your circle calling you by your formal name. Be leery of somebody that you don't know that, hey, Jay, they're calling you by a nickname that your friends know you, because that's what they do too to try to lure you in. So definitely be alert.
Yep, gotcha. So that's all I got for today. JJ said you didn't have any information you wanted to share with us. That's unusual, but
No information.
Yep.
So
before we got, I heard you hit a milestone in your coaching career, though. Yeah, congratulations on that.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, awesome job you're doing there. What's the rest of the season look like for you?
We got sectionals coming up Friday. Got a task to handle on Friday. So
What are you playing?
we got the guys out southwest.
Southwest?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. All right. Well, good luck to that. So, thanks for tuning in today. Hopefully some of this information you'll find useful and bring some awareness to you so you don't fall victim to some of these financial scams as well. But until next week or 2 weeks from now, we are Our Neutral Voices. Peace.